What's up, everybody? Skyhook Garage here, and today we are working on the 2020 Africa Twin again. And if you didn't notice at the close-up right there, today we're going to be doing the engine guards on the bike today. So those are the guards that go across the side and case covers there, and man, they look good. They don't stick out too far, but they look pretty clean, nice and that pale chrome. But yep, yeah, so I'm going to show you how to put them on. And also, if you haven't checked out the video for the bracket kit, okay, that's going to be this black bracket right in here. All right, you need that bracket set up in order to put these on. So yeah, check out that video. I got it down there below right now. That'll take you to show you how to do that. And then it'll take you right back to this video from that video if you haven't watched it already. All right, so let's get the bike set up, get the camera set up, show you all the parts associated with it, show you what you're going to need to do with it, and show you how to put it on the bike. All right, guys, so everything that comes in this kit, all right, it's going to be in this box. Engine guard kit 08P71-MKS-E00. And in this box, you're going to get your two engine guard brackets. All right, this is the left side and the right side. All right, associated hardware, it's going to be 5 of these bolts right here, 10mm head on this side. All right, you're going to have one longer bolt for the middle of the exhaust bracket where the back side of the right-hand bracket's going to be installed on. All right, you need a longer one because the one that's currently in it obviously isn't long enough, and with the bracket on there, it's going to need a little bit extra length on the bolt. Okay, the 5 bolts that I just mentioned before, they're going to be going through the forward portion of the bracket right here. Okay. And you have 5 of them simply because the 5th one's going to be used down here. You take out a black bolt on the subframe bracket that's down there, and I'll show more once we get over to the bike, but you're going to utilize one of the new fancy chrome bolts that goes in there. Now you also have 5 of these acorn style nuts. Okay, they're 12mm on this end. You're going to have 5 of them. 4 of them are going to be used for these bolts in the front part of the pipe, each of the guard pipes. And then the 5th one's going to be used for the longer bolt here. I'm not sure why they decided to go with chrome on that one, probably just because it's fancier and it looks good with the rest of the guard kit. The one other thing to note of is there's 2 10mm head short bolts there. Those guys are also going to go in from the inboard side up at the engine bracket. At the front of the bike, okay, they're going to go into these pipes here. I'm not sure exactly the specific purpose for it. Might just be a little bit extra support on the triangular portion of everything. You'll have those 2 main bolts there with the acorn nuts on the outside, and then the 10mm go from the inboard side of the brackets through each of these pipes here. Each pipe gets one of those at the front. That's the right side. This is the left side. There is enough room to put the bolt through this way, but then it wouldn't be really holding on to anything, so they got to go in from the inboard side. So tools you're going to need: 10mm wrench to hold on to the bolts, 12mm wrench to hold on to the long bolt, the back side of the long bolt while you loosen and tighten it, and then of course your ratchet, little extension, 12mm socket, okay, and the 10mm socket. You might need it, might not. We'll see when we get over to the bike. Also, there's no torque spec on any of this stuff. It just says to make sure that it's attached properly. I would be shooting for about the 20 foot-pounds like we've been doing on most everything else on the bike. Personally, torque specs aren't to make sure that it is tight enough. It's to make sure that it's not too tight and stressing the actual integrity of the bolts or the nuts. So I would shoot for 20 foot-pounds. It's a good solid number. And yeah, let's head over to the bike and get this install started. All right, so step number 1 is going to be the skid plate here. Okay, you want to remove the skid plate. You have forward bolt right here, okay, and then you have 2 of the the large Allen bolts down here. All the bolts are 5mm, 2 on the bottom, 1 in the front, and 1 at the rear next to the shifter there. Now, if you've ever done an oil change on one of these bikes, you know that there's associated hardware, metal collar for the bushing, and then there's also another metal collar up front on the bracket that's already attached to the bike for the forward bolt right here. So like I said, don't lose any of the hardware, and remove the skid plate, get that off to the side, and you'll gain access to the parts and the bolts that you need and access for the left engine guard. All right, so we're going to start with the left side engine bracket right here, okay? And what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to first remove this bolt, the forward bolt, this black bracket down here, 12mm bolt right there, okay? And make sure that obviously you have these bracket kits installed. You won't be able to do anything with these engine guards without them. So this side's pretty straightforward. I would suggest, like everything, make sure that you put everything on and start it, but definitely don't tighten everything down until, don't tighten anything until you get everything started. So the short bolts here with 10mm ends, we're going to put them through that side first. All right, they're going to come in from the inboard side. And then down below here, right here, you have one of the other bolts. I'm going to utilize that guy down there. Then we'll move over to the forward part here. Then of course the 10mm short bolt. All right, once everything's started, make sure everything's good and started before you start yoksing on it. And I would suggest tighten this bolt down first, then these two, then the small 10mm guy up here. Once that's all tight and snug and good to go, head over to the right. Okay, so the right side of the bike. So right side bracket. All right, it's going to snake in between this skid plate here for the exhaust. Now, it might be advantageous to take this off in order to get a straight, appropriate shot at the lower bolt over here, because you can see the guard's kind of in the way getting to these two bolts here to torque it properly. But I have a couple different universal joints for the end of the torque wrench, so I'm just going to use them instead of removing this plate here. Now, first step is you're going to want to remove the middle bolt right here off of this isolator for the exhaust. All right, and you can see right here the height difference of the two bolts. The original one is on the right side, and the new one is on the left side. So remove the old bolt, okay? It's going to come out, it's going to push through towards the center of the bike. It'll come out the back side. So make sure you don't lose this washer for the rubber isolator that has to go back on. All right, so you'll put the new bolt, make sure the washer's on there, you get it up in behind there. All right, once that's through, same thing on the other as the other side. You're going to set this up in there, get the bolt started. All right, this one seems a little bit easier. We'll get the back one started first. Get those guys started. All right, so if this bolt right here, the one that comes through the middle of the exhaust at the back of the engine guard bracket here, if it's fighting you trying to line up properly, you very well might have to loosen up the black bracket that you installed for the forward portion of the engine guard bracket in order to shift it a little bit to get this lined up properly. So if that's the case, just make sure that you snug that back down good and tight. Make sure everything else is tightened on the engine guard, including the small 10mm bolt that goes through the top of the bracket here. And then, yeah, that's about it. I'm going to torque this guy, make sure it's good to go. And that's about it for the install. Put the skid plate back on. Make sure that's good and snug. And if you're installing the light kit, definitely check out that video if it's not down below yet. It should be shortly. All right, so that's on back order for me. I've had a couple guys in the channel say that they have it available and they can send it to me if I wanted to buy it, but I'm just going to wait for the one that I have on order. I've kind of already paid for it through Mosias up in Pittsburgh. So I'm going to hang out, wait for that. As soon as I get it, I'm going to get that video up. Like I said, I'll put it in the description below and also put a link that pops up in the video. But for right now, that's about it for this one. Thanks for watching. Hit that like button, subscribe button, and yeah, until next time, thanks again.